Here I'm going to show you some of the work I have done in the past basically 20 years. When I came to Ontario in 1999. So this is about some scholarly work I've done on the preparations of the writing of the Bab. And at that time, in around, I think 2002, when I started to get into knowing the Bab, I had no other way except to go and get this raw material, the manuscript, through some external sources, such as this one. If you look at it, it says Cambridge University Library. These are the Brown, Edward G. Brown manuscript, F9, F10, F8. You know, F9, there is in it the interpretation of the chapter called Wal Asr, the time. In 10 is Kothar, and F8 is the interpretations of the chapter of Quran called Baqarah, or translation cow. These are the manuscript of Edward G. Brown. Then you have this sort of manuscript, as you can see, it's British Library, and they come basically on these discs that you can get them as well, you know. And then the third sources that I try to get into, I found these ones. As you can see, it says Baha'i Arabic manuscript, Islamic third series, whatever, volume 2 or volume 14, and so on and so forth. What's inside here, as you can see, is the manuscript. So this manuscript have to be taken. I don't have now, and I didn't have before, the actual manuscript reader. This is a machine, and fortunately in the University of Guelph they had it at the time. And I went and obtained this, took it to the university. It's very difficult actually. You have to load it, and one by one you have to send it to the, make it to go on a basically diskette. These are some of the things that I've had here. For example, here you can see the Bobby manuscripts, Edward Brown, Miller's file. Miller file would be those ones in the University of Princeton. They're here. Then we have Edward G. Brown. These are the different numbers that all these writings of the Bab in the form of manuscript is there. Then we have the manuscript that belongs to the follower of the Bab. Some groups are still available, they're around, and these are theirs. And then there are on the internet some areas too, from the one, for example, we call it INBA. The INBA, which are these, as you can look, INBA means Iranian National Baha'i Archive. They go from 1 to 105, basically, you know. So in this case, these things, the manuscript exist. They didn't have them only recently, but I think last year they brought it and put it on the internet. Somebody did anyways. And then you have also on the internet, basically it's them, and then the Bobbies, you know, they are also on the internet, you know. So what would we do? How would we proceed? Let's say look at the Edward G. Brown. This is the, his manuscript. Okay, this is manuscript right here. This is the chapter, the tafsir, which means interpretations of the chapter, first chapter of Quran. It's called The Cow by the Bab. It's very lengthy, and Bab has revealed this, started it. The start was even before he declared his missions. They are very hard to read for any normal, even Arab people, because every one of them have certain handwriting that want us to be familiar, and then there's shorthand involved too. So, and we'll take this manuscript, so I'll go and say how it is turned into a book. Let's say this is what's the final is that I have made it here. Now in here, if you look, this comes down. We've given started, like every other book, a whole lot of references I have to make into the index and everything else that I had to make, an introduction. So once these things are done, you can see I have given the sources where this book is coming from. This book has been done on this particular manuscript in this side right here. This is called 69, IMBA, Iranian National Baha'i, manuscript number 69. I did that on the top of that, and then I went and compared this line by line with the manuscript of the Edward G. Brown in Cambridge. And then in some other book we found out that actually this manuscript is missing a part, which is in the 98, an introduction there has to be to this Masnavi. I believe Dr. Hosseini says. So both of these manuscripts, this one from the Edward Brown manuscripts, and the one in the IMBA, Iranian National Baha'i Archive, is missing an introduction which starts from here. So this manuscript has been using this book has been using these three manuscripts. Now once we do get this typed into the words, we have to go back over several times, maybe 5-6 times, to make sure there's no typo. Then the first manuscript has to be compared to the second one, where you can see I have written number 1, number 2, and number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6 in a different color, meaning these are what the differences between this manuscript of the INBA, Iranian National Baha'i Archive number 69, with that of the Edward G. Brown at Cambridge, which would be here as MSF9. See, that's the one. F9, it's his. So this have been compared, but it's a big process because the book is like 700, 800 pages, but you have to find all of this. For example, in the first chapter, we can see the differences are amounting to, in that introduction actually, which has been compared, you see, there's that many differences, 43. Now, once we do this, we have to also explain what this is, the whole purport of this. Now we're going to the actual manuscript. As again you can see, now the book starts. Again, number 1, number 2, how many differences between them? And we have written 1, 2, 3 difference between that of the Miller, between that of the IMB 1969 and those that are compared with actually Miller in this case. Now, when we do this, the second work comes. Now you've done this. You typed it, you compared it, and you wrote down the difference. Now, this is very difficult part that I think in the Baha'i faith we might have a couple of people among the Persian to be capable of knowing this. As Bob speaks and he writes, all of a sudden, without any references, he just simply goes and uses the writing of the reference to the Islamic text. Some places like here, just he's making a pointing to that. But when it comes to this one, for example, Kana Allah wa lam yakun ma'ahu min shay'an al-ana kama kan, you have to know enough the writing of the Bab to understand that this part here could not be his sayings. So you got to be a serious expert in order to understand. As I found out, for example, this portion is in actually a book called Usul Kafi, volume number 3, page 2222. And another one, the same reference, is Ighaz al-Na'amin of Mullah Sadra. So what is the second and third task is that to find the Bab's references and quotations of the Islamic, which is embedded in his writing. Okay? Now as you go, there are important points in it that I had to make a line, for example, as I've done here, between them, to translate it in Persian, see? Because otherwise it's difficult to understand, you see? So again, for example, just this little word, here he says, Imam Ali said, so it's not very difficult to know this is the word of Imam Ali, we have to find it in the book. But in many places, he does not say. One has to just have enough knowledge to know where they are. Even when you know, for example, this is the saying of Imam Ali, it is a monumental task to go to find out where these references are made in the Islamic book. Those who are in the area of the scholarship, they would know how difficult it is to distinguish that this is not the writing of the Bab, and Bab is referring to somewhere. And now the task of going to find it. So there are many references. You know, Bab always refers to the Islam, because you can see we put those things into a smaller writing to say which book it is, because I don't want to say it in the bottom of the page. So I just bring it in there so the reader right away knows this is where it comes. Of course, after this, we have to, as I said, end up translating many parts of it. As you can see, this book goes on. This is a huge book because there is the biggest chapters of Islam, and Bab has gone about only half of it. Now, as we go to this part here, we're seeing that there is a volume 2 of this. The volume 2 was supposed to be something that's lost and is not found. Bob says if you find it, but Azal, Bayani's people, those who follow the Bab and this Yahya Azal, they have put that into their website, as you can see right here, right now. And this one, which is a little part of it in the 69, but more of it is in their website. So I studied that, and I have concluded that is falsely been attributed to be the writing of Azal. This is all the similarity in it that it is the writing of the Bab. So I've added just that to it and made a decision that this is the writing of the Bab, albeit not complete. So we don't have all the interpretation of the chapters, because as it is the system of the Bab, he never completes any of his books. It's just the way it is. He doesn't do it because he wants to say to the future, my religion is not something that you can basically follow it. So this is now starting the chapter, I think the verses. What verses is that? This is the number verse 142 from Quran, from the same chapter, that's continued until to the certain. And as you see the different colors, it's just so how one copy, one manuscript is different from the others, and these are all the differences in that, you know, has been made. So, what are the part that's missing? I've explained exactly what it is. And the reason of these things that I've done, and it seems like, it's a huge time spent on the writing of the Bab. Let's see how many pages are this book. Not to mention at the end we have to make references. What are the books that Bab has referred to? These are the Islamic book. These are the list of the Islamic book that they have been referred to by the Bab, and I have told what is the name of the book, who is the writer, and who is the publisher. All of that has been done, so create an authentic, so many books is been referred to by Bab. The hadith and tradition, I found it in all these books. One has to know all of this in order to create an authentic book about the writing of the Bab, or it's a very, very difficult, just about 100 book, there are references made about it. And then, of course, an index where you can find the words and so on. Now, the reason I have found this, I have done this, is for the fact that I know in the future that the current tab, yes. I know in future what's going to happen is that if the Baha'i faith, the way it's going right now, it is bound that the Muslims that are tired of Ayatollah, and now I have seen, including my brother, they're going towards the Sufis, denying the existence of Ayatollah and against the regime, but they've gone the Sufis. These people called Sufis, and some of them have these pseudo PhDs, supposedly, and all they do is that they read the book of Rumi and other Sufis and come back and talk on it in the internet and find followers for themselves. They actually have not produced anything themselves, anything like that. But they are out there, and I believe that these guys are going to get tired, and soon they are going to maybe stick to the writing of the Bab to say that, no, we like the Babi religion, we accept the Bab, but we don't want to accept Baha'u'llah. Again, to cheat people, these opportunists, they're lurking on the corner to do this. Because of that, my mission, comes in my jurisdiction of my time, that I have to write these things, books about the Bab and the real meaning and references of it, so it cannot be misused by the enemies, and the Baha'is have power to read it, because I personally do not believe anybody in the Baha'i faith at the present time, neither they are able nor they have the time or spend time on this task. They don't see it. There are two people that I know, and the third one, for example, was Saeed Naderi, who has written that book. It's completely, I'm sorry, the book is just not there. So this is one. For example, we can go to look at here. I bring you another book. This is the book of Bayan, the main book of the Bab. This book is very tricky because this book has been published. I put an ISBN number on it. This book, I've written all, as you can see, all these different chapters name. Now, there's a lot of references and explanations and introductions and meanings have to be given before we even start the book. So I've explained these things fully and completely. What is this book? See, it says INBA number 96. This is a copy of the writing of the book, which Universal House of Justice letter says. This is, and he says some of the pages are still missing. This book is supposed to be completely authentic. A very difficult manuscript. One has to, if I enlarge it, you can see this writing of the Bab barely has any dots on it, because it was written in such a fast way, since Bab was dictating it to Mr. Yazdi, he's the letters of the living, the scribe of the Bab. See, for example, there's no B here, there's no B here, but the one person who's knowing, he knows this means Bismillah al-Amna al-Aqdas. You have to assume 2 dot here, 1 dot here, and 1 dot here. Then 2 dot here for T, 1 B, because this is tasbih, but yet there's no indication. This is one of the copies, okay? But this book was compared with this, but I actually written this book, typed this book, by the Bayan, not even this one. This book is written from this copy. This copy is a type, is a printed copy with a special handwriting, very beautiful. Babis, follower of the Bab in Iran, they have done this, and all the Baha'i scholars that I ever know, when they refer to the book of the Bab, they refer to this, and I've seen their writing. But yet, we typed it over this. What we did, we compared it with this copy of manuscript number 24 with the Iranian National Baha'i Archive, and we found a lot of differences, but it wasn't authentic enough till we actually make it to be comparable to this. And this is a task to be able to understand that book to be compared to this. So this book, unlike any other books of the Bab, I've compared this with 3 different copies, and we have written the differences. These are all just the beginning of the book. So when we go to the book, I tell you what the problem is. Where is the book starts? Yeah, it's here. This is where the book starts. Right here. Okay. But as you can see, what we have done here, Bab frequently within its Persian, Baha'u'llah too, but Bab is big on that. He just brings the word Arabic and Persian, he mix, For example, right here. This is Arabic, so we put it in Persian what it means, some of the work, because otherwise it would be impossible for no Persian to read these books. It's so difficult. It is written for the elite. Now here we see the Babi manuscripts that printed in Iran has a difference. Here, I put it as number 1, with the one that is 24, IMBA 24. That's the one. Now here it's all Arabic. We put it in bracket, and the bracket, it comes right here and gets translated so people can easily read this. So, now we are going to continue this first chapter, shall we say. It's large, but I had to translate. Any Arabic part in this book is being translated, any. So you can easily read it. And this chapter 1, this is the chapter 2. This is when he's talking about the coming back of all the imams that I told you before. First is Muhammad, and then it just goes on. And this is Ali, this is Fatima, this is Hassan, Hussein, again Ali, son of Hussein, Muhammad, son of Ali, Ja'far, son of Muhammad, and Musa, son of the Ja'far, and Ali, son of the Musa, and Muhammad, son of the Ali, and Ali, son of the Muhammad again, and finally Hassan, son of the Ali. Okay? When it comes to the 15th, he says that I am the one that you are waiting for. I am not a coming back of any imam. There was no imam that died and came back. The 12th imam was never there. And here he talks again 4 more, because 15 plus 4 to become 19 letters. But he does not give any name of these people. Okay, so, and you can see the difference of this. There's 30 difference between the Babi's copy with the copy of the Baha'i copy number 24, and then the Babi's copy has also these differences, 4 of them, with the authentic manuscript of his ascribe, the Letters of the Living, the one that Bob says you have to rely on. Now, this is part of the matter. But book has many difficult stuff that I have to talk to do separately about that. How would these things, comes in understanding? He uses the word that has never been used before. For example, in the Persian language, he used the word detachment. But no one knows this word enqita could mean anything but detachment. But in reality, that's not what he's referring to. He's talking about the temporary marriages, which are like there is a separation, disconnected marriages, basically. But you use the word enqita. There's no way to know this. You have to be serious expert to know this. Or he uses local word. For example, some places I was on the boat and there was no water, we had to use madani, but madani means lemon. But no Persian knows madani means lemon. We say to the lemon in English, in Persian, limu. Limu means lemon. Probably originated from, Persian. The lemon comes from limu. Doubtful because Persian, they never had citruses. Were the Portuguese that they brought this first in Iran in 700-800 years ago. So, but he doesn't use the word. He used madani. Madani means, madan means city, madani means from a city. Who would any knows? Madani could actually means lemon. You got to go into the local language of this province and this city in the south some 150 years ago. If somebody knows, they tell you, oh, madani means lemon. That's what Bob is referring to. So it's close to impossible, okay, to understand the things that he does. Why is it like this? These are all the differences that they've written in the bottom of the book. This book, again, is another huge book. God, this book is another, let's see how many pages is this book. 873 pages of this book. So this is another book, for example, that I've done. But at this point, you could see, like me, there are people in the Baha'i film. Just as I said, there's Fariduddin Radmer, there's another lady that I know, she's good in the mathematics of the Islamic mathematics of the time, that she could know a few things, but there are lots of other stuff here, and I have not seen them being able to do it. But consider the difference, my friends. I'm a contractor. I'm actually going on a ladder. I'll make a video from that for you to believe it. My company is called Tony's Homework. If you go Tony's Homework in city of Guelph, you actually see my website. I installed eavesdrop siding, soffit fascia. I work from 8 to 5, come back after 5, and then this is my entertainment for the past 15-20 years, to create all these books, close to 10,000 pages of the writing of the Bab. I'm only halfway through. Okay? Now, up to here also, one may say that, okay, it's super excellent work. But these are the work of the scholars, and the Baha'i faith has seen this kind of scholars. We have Ishtaq Khavari, we have Abul-Faza'il Gulpaygani, we have Fazil Mazandarani, Abbas Alavi, Sadr al-Sudur. These guys are big, and the production, for example, of Mr. Ishtaq Khavari is a few hundred books. Yes, my work has been difficult, has been prominent, but those are not still a reason for somebody to say that, okay, because of that you're an elder. No, because of that you're doing a service. Clearly you're not just somebody from the streets read something and he wants to apply it to himself. they could conclude that I must have a lot of patience, a lot of love, a lot of whatever to do this part of these books that I've done, about 10,000 pages. And so some of them are on the internet. If you go on my internet, under the Persian, it says books, and you find these books. But in these books, there are certain areas, which I have to mention to you later on, that I challenge now. Anybody in the Baha'i faith, all these scholars, to come and understand what Bab is saying here. This is where the difficulty comes. It is not possible for these guys to know what Bab is trying to say. Because I'm here, I've taken this project, a new one really, which I'm going to bring to you. These are the books that still has to be done. And if we go in the books, you can see these books. Now this books is not the Persian bayan, but Arabic bayan, which is not very big. I'll tell you what does it says here. This is where it becomes difficult. Now I'm challenging those guys at any level, as Bab says, هل من مبارز يبارزني, is there any fighter, he says, is there any challengers to challenge me? He says that in the field of the knowledge. Okay, now I'm going to tell you big secret right here. He says basically this faith is just like the faith of the past, which is Islam. This revelation is just like the revelation of Islam in the past. The difference is that 1,270 years the word have transcended with their soul. For example, what he means here is that the definition of love as it was in Arabia, it is changed now. Definition of kindness, it is changed from that to now. We have progressed, we have different meaning. Therefore, what we say now, he says, in our word, in the revelation of God, has a different meaning, has a different purpose, has a different intention. Then he says, in this revelation, in the station of takbir, means transcending God, there's four of them. He says nothing bigger than the name of Hakim Akhar have been revealed. Okay, Hakim Akhar, which is this, it has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letters, which is He, Ke, Ye, Me, E, Khe, Re. Hakim Akhar. Literally, Hakim means philosopher. Hakim means a wise man, a mystic. Akhar means the last. The last, okay? Nothing bigger than this name, Hakim Akhar, is being revealed. That's how he says. Which is the essence of the 7 letters of his name. Because Ali Muhammad is 7. But he used the word Hakim Akhar. Why does he use that? He could have said Alim Akhar, Azim Akhar, all of them are 7. But no, he uses the word Hakim. Now, I, as an elder of God, knows he has an intention using this. Now, if you go and add these words, Hakim Akhar, it becomes 879 with the abjad, okay? Like H, K, I is M, 10, M is 40, A is 1, R is 20, H is 9, K is 20. If you add it up together, it becomes 879. Funny. Because if you go put the 5 name of Hussein, which is one of the name of Baha'u'llah, Hussein Ali, and his second name Ali, and the first name of Bab, which is Muhammad, Ali Muhammad, but we have Ali, we're not repeating it. So far we have the name Hussein, Ali, Muhammad, and 2 more names, Abbas, which is the name of Shoghi, Abdul-baha, and the name of Shoghi. If you put all these names together, Hussein 128, Ali 110, Muhammad 92, Abbas 133, Shoghi 4116. It together becomes 879. So these last wise, which means this revelation, he's mentioning nothing bigger than his name has been revealed, which is 879 Hakim Akhar, but is referring to all these 5 names. Okay? And there are 5 of them too, 5 names, because the 5 is the number that in the bottom. But he says this Hakim Akhar, which are from him to Shoghi, it will stand 8 times 19. Hashed Wahed. Wahed means 1 unit. Unit means 19. W is 6, A is 1, H is D is 4, H is 9, means 19. Baban is 18 letters of 1 Wahed, 1 unit of the Bayan. And there's 19 of them, become 360. But he says the fate of God has been on its track for 8 times 19, which means 152. Okay? And he came in 1844. If you add 1844, 152, which is the time the fate is sitting on its rail, it will become 1996, the year that I announced the universal laws of justice, my eldership and the mission, and I was cast off. On that day, 1996, this word 8 times 19 was fulfilled. Means until that time, he says, the revelation of God, the mirror of God, has been sitting on its seat. Okay? And then he continues, same Persian right here. There are many other things to say here, because the name of Baha'u'llah is here several ways, okay? Which I know what it means. But in the Arabic, he says something else. This is worthy to hear, because he's referring to the same thing, but adds something else to it. And he goes, he says, just like this, we reveal Quran from before, but unfortunately you did not understand you were veiled in veil from my intention. This is what is revolving day and night to 8 times 19. And until then, you guys are praising, worshipping God. Where you are from Ansayrahu, from its, shall we say, from its path, from its path after passing of the time that he mentioned, muhtajibun. You are veiled, he says. وَكُنْتُمْ عَنْ سَيْرِهِ بَعْدَ مَا قَضَى مُحْتَجِبُونَ. This is it. He says, until then, you were on the right track, but after that, 8 times 19 from 1844, which is 1996, the fate of God is not on its rail, it's derailed, and you are outside of the fate. This part, my dear friends, it is the specialty of me. I only have that insight given by Baha'u'llah to me. It's not my own, of course, I understand that. I'm just a guy. But I'm just like a computer, might be very small, because I do not have absolutely the reading and the knowledge and the resources that Mr. Fariduddin has. But yet, I am like a computer connected to the internet. And sometimes I even don't know why I go there. But when I go there, I see all of a sudden these truths in many, many ways. The book comes from me from some strange places, that there are many secrets in the writing of the Bayan and the Babis. All of it is about Baha'u'llah. Time, everything, many things he says that it means Baha'u'llah. For example, all of these is that holy name. But if you put the Ism al-Aqdas together and Baha'u'llah, they're both 12. They call it the short abjad. Same as bin Akhar al-Od, at the end of return. Same thing. It's all his name. So I'm stopping this at the moment, but I will attach this to my other videos that I will be going to be talking as a part of introducing the depth of my knowledge to you. Thank you very much.